Hello, users, and welcome back to Above It All. This is just really fucking funny. So, Donald Trump posted some stupid fucking garbage again. He had another temper tantrum on fucking Twitter.com again. And somebody, there's been a lot of people saying, Twitter, please do something about his tweets because clearly he shouldn't be able to just lie and lie and lie on a public platform. And as the owners of this public platform, you have the responsibility to basically at least maybe not remove the tweets, but provide some critical context for people who want to actually understand really what's happening from an unbiased or relatively unbiased news source. And personally, I don't give a fuck. I think a lot of what Twitter has done is a lot worse. Like, for example, like you can just make it you can make it so people cannot reply to you. I think that is a much worse feature than this. But anything that makes Donald Trump like have some sort of fucking conniption fit, I'm all for. So basically, if you click this, it says get the facts about mail-in ballots. So I'll just read this. There is no way, zero, that mail-in ballots will be anything less than substantially fraudulent. Mailboxes will be robbed, ballots will be forged, and even illegally printed out, and fraudulently signed. The governor of California is sending ballots to millions of people. Anyone, living in the state, no matter who they are or how they got here, will get one. That will be followed up with professionals telling all these people, many of whom have never even thought of voting before, how and for whom to vote. This will be a rigged election. No way. And then you click this, and I love the photograph, man. The thing about Donald Trump is that he's just naturally hilarious. So, like, any photo of him is just really going to be fucking funny as fuck. And then, of course, the headline here is Trump makes unsubstantiated claim that mail-in ballots will lead to voter fraud. And then it said, what you need to know. Trump falsely claimed that mail-in ballots would lead to a rigged election. However, fact checkers say there is no evidence that mail-in ballots are linked to voter fraud. Trump falsely claimed that California will send mail-in ballots to anyone living in the state, no matter who they are, how they got there. I love the quotes. Quoting Trump is always so funny. In fact, only registered voters will receive ballots. 5 states already vote entirely by mail, and all other states offer some form of mail-in absentee voting, according to NBC News. So I love that. I think it's really funny. Now, again, I see how this can be used to push propaganda. I totally understand that. I'm skeptical of this, but that's the thing, is you just gotta take this shit with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, it all boils down to media literacy. Can you read through this thing? Read through these things? I can, and so therefore I'm not that bothered by it, but I know it will definitely move the needle if, say, there's a situation where Joe Biden lies about something, and they don't do fact-checking. I think that that's, potentially problematic. I think if you're going to have this for the president, you should have it for presidential candidates too. I think you should just have this across the board for all politicians. Maybe just make it something like politician exclusive. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things where at this point Twitter has done so much that's just like so in favor of fucking manufacturing consent and pushing propaganda, but it's also doing a lot in the opposite of being able to quickly spread information that kind of shows the framework of capitalism for what it really is, and that's devilish. So it's one of those things. It's a fucking two-pronged whatever. But then Donald Trump had this massive fucking meltdown here, and this one is really good. At Twitter is now interfering in the 2020 presidential election. They are saying my statement on mail-in ballots, which will lead to massive corruption and fraud, is incorrect, based on fact-checking by fake news, CNN, and the Amazon Washington Post. I love that, by the way, the Amazon Washington Post. That's really good. I didn't know Donald Trump was making enemies with Jeff Bezos. Maybe we can apply that to, any other potential direction. Twitter is completely stifling free speech, and I, as president, will not allow it to happen. I love, the idea that this man is president of the United States. He literally is the most powerful human being on planet Earth, and yet he's on his fucking, like, on the toilet, like, fucking fiddling away on Twitter, like, being angry on the internet, instead of doing literally anything else. Like if I had infinite access to whatever, I would do so many more things than tweet about fucking free speech. You know, like, it's like, especially when I, by every provable metric, am just making shit up. Like, it's just one of those things where, again, the mail-in ballot thing, this has been like an election fucking right-wing talking point. It was last cycle, I do remember that, and from my research, you know, last cycle was the only real presidential cycle I paid attention to, because I'm still pretty young, but, you know, I've seen people do that thing in 2012, I know it was big with the Tea Party, and, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like, there's going to be these little conspiracy theories where it's like, you can't really prove it to be 1000% like legitimate, but at the same time, we already know our elections are fucking fraudulent. Look at the Democratic primary. Look at fucking every single election we've had in this fucking country, for the most part, for like the last fucking, you know, 60 years or so. Like, we already know that this is a whole rigged fucking system, and the whole idea of Donald Trump saying it's rigged, but, like, not saying it's rigged, you know, in the actual way that it's rigged, but just making up some other fucking conspiracy to say it's rigged just to benefit him. I think it's hilarious. And all the MAGA people complaining about it, it's just funny. At this point, really, Twitter has done so much that is both really terrible and also really bad precedent. And then also they've done, you know, nothing in a lot of instances, and that's allowed for really good things to come throughout. Like, you know, in the next video, I'm going to cover the Minneapolis thing. And there's a lot of bullshit going on there. And the thing about Twitter is it's like fast, cyclable news. And it's the thing about it that's both, you know, good and bad is the good is you can get a lot of, obviously, police brutality. You can get on Twitter, you can get on Facebook, you know, just the internet as a whole. But, like, you know, it's really good for organizing information with threads and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's like, Twitter is useful in a lot of capacities, and the way I see it, as long as it is useful for spreading information that could potentially help people, you know, it's worth using in that capacity. But you always got to take stuff like this with a grain of salt. But really, you should anyway. Even before this, like, you should take this with a grain of salt anyway. And I mean, if you haven't been trained to do that after these fucking last few years of Donald Trump's presidency, then you got to get the ball rolling. Seriously. But either way, just watching him melt down is hilarious. Obamagate makes Watergate look like small potatoes. Fuck. Small fucking potatoes. I fucking can't, dude. Oh my god. We passed 15 million tests today. By far the most in the world. Open safely. Jesus. Meanwhile, 100,000 people have died from the coronavirus. Fucking 2020, man. God damn it.